I'm going to explain in this video how you as a Christian man have a unique edge when dating abroad compared to the average person trying to date abroad, or all the characteristics that you thought hurt you when dating in the West and the USA are actually bonuses when you go abroad and actually make your dating options more plentiful, better, higher quality, and give you a better chance of landing the woman that you think you would want to marry and start a family with. So I'm going to break that all down in this video here. So we're going to start off with two men. Okay. Here's you. You're Christ-pilled. Okay, we got the cross. Okay, that's you. Okay. Now let's take the average regular dude who's not really a Christian in the US. Okay, you're both 25 years old. Okay, about 25 years old, right smack in the middle of the Gen Z, you're Gen Z or whatever, right? About where the age I'm at. So let's think about your potential dating pool in the USA first off, okay? So we're gonna create a little bubble. Here's your potential dating pool, okay? And let's say out of 10. Okay, let's say that the both of you are competing for a dating pool of 10 women. Well, statistics show that roughly 60% of Gen Z women identify as Christian. But who are the ones that are actually practicing their faith, which is what you're interested in, right? Which is what every true masculine Christian guy is actually interested in, is women who are committed to their faith. Well, the church attendance for Gen Z women is about 30 to 35% who attend church consistently. So we're not really going to use that number. We're going to look more at 35%, which just happens to line up with the number of Gen Z women who identify as conservative. So we're at about 35%-ish. So we're going to go with 3 out of 10 when we look at our potential dating pool. Now, the regular dude, who he may or may be culturally conservative Christian or not, it doesn't really matter. He considers this entire pool to be his potential matches, okay? But for you, because you're a committed Christian guy, you only consider about 3 out of these 10 women to be potential matches, okay? So you're already narrowing down your dating pool by 3 out of 10, okay? And he's looking at all the options, 10 out of 10. Now, maybe some of these Christian women wouldn't date this guy because they're not committed enough to their faith, right? Maybe 3 of them won't want to date this guy, but would potentially date you, okay? Let's think about that now. So his 10 out of 10 pool goes down to about 7 out of 10. So he's got a 70% of the potential pool that he's willing to date, while you only have 30% here in the West in the United States. It's a rough estimate. If you want to be really, really generous, then we can bump it up to 40%. I'm going to show you how when you go abroad and you date abroad, we can actually flip this number on its head. Now, sure, if you're in a regular area in the United States and you go to a more Christian traditional area, can you bump up your odds? Absolutely. And that may be enough for you. But I want to show you that if we take it even further, if we take the odds even further and take the thinking to its logical conclusion, we can really up our odds quite a bit more than just moving within the United States. That's what I'm trying to show you here. So if you're looking at 3 out of 10 women as potential matches, right, in the United States, roughly, okay, so you've got he's got 7 out of 10, you've got 3 out of 10, and that's the dating competition now. That's the pool that you have to choose from. But let's totally flip this on its head, okay? I'm going to erase this, and we're going to talk about this in a completely different way. Okay, now we're looking at 25-year-old women, Gen Z, or you're 25 years old, we're looking at Gen Z women of the same generation. Let's say you go to somewhere like Latin America, for example, okay? Here's our dating pool now. Out of 10 women. Okay, well, about 90% of women this age identify as some form of Christian, Catholic, whatever. But obviously not all of them are like pure practicing, whatever. Let's say 2/3 of them are. Okay, so if 2/3 of them are, pure practicing Christian Catholic, that gives you about 6. So that gives you about 6 out of 10 in potential. So we just doubled that one there for you. And I would say, based on my experience and based on statistics, since 90% of them are going to identify with being Christian or Catholic, I would say that about 8 out of 10 of them are not looking to get into long-term serious relationship with the secular dude, okay? And most of the discourse that I hear about dating abroad from regular passport bros and such is well, I'm an atheist. How can I date this Christian woman or whatever? Will she accept me, right? That's what all the discourse is surrounding, which is very, very interesting. That many men are trying to go the other way with it, when most time in the U.S. we're trying to, convert secular women to being Christian. So it's very, very interesting. Shows you the disconnect here. So this guy probably only has maybe a 2 out of, if he's purely secular, like a 2 out of 10, and then 2 are kind of somewhere in between, maybe not. So we just completely flipped the odds by just going abroad in Latin America. Same thing for the Philippines. Philippines is heavily Catholic and Christian, okay? If you date strategically in places like East Asia, like South Korea, because the dating pool is so large, you can end up with odds like this because there's so many women, within your dating pool and dating range. That one's a little more complicated, but I'm using the Philippines and Latin America writ large to kind of show you how this can work when you go date abroad, okay? So now we're at a 6 out of 10 situation. So already our pool is bigger. You've already made the pool larger than the secular guy trying to date abroad. So we flipped the odds on his head. We went from 3 out of 10 to 6 out of 10. He went from 6 to 7 out of 10 down to 2, 3 out of 10 right there. So already you have less competition for the women who are committed to their faith and serious about their faith already right off the bat. And there's more plentiful, they're more available, and there's more fit and feminine ones just right off the bat there. So there's a lot more for you to choose from, and there's a lot more for you to determine which ones you are compatible with. But let's talk about the other reasons why you're also uniquely set up to date well abroad, okay? And it's the characteristics that Western Christian men tend to have at large that makes them really, really good candidates for this, okay? Number 1, okay? I'm going to do my number list down here. Western men tend to treat women well. Okay, because of the society we grow up in. Because feminism has taken such hold. Because women can be boss babes and be up in higher places of status, okay? We've been trained over time to actually treat women better and treat them more equally. Even if I don't believe men and women are 100% equal, they're more complementarian. They have different strengths and different things that are not as good, okay? Women are more nurturing, for example, but men are better at being more masculine and being stronger, okay? This is just a reality. Okay, but because we grow up in the West in this more egalitarian society, we've been forced to treat women better and more equally. Now, you can go too far with this to where you're like a feminized man and you don't know how to be masculine. But for the most part, our base or instincts, because of the society we grow up in, is to actually just kind of treat women better. Wow, I can spell it. Let's put the N over that one. And because of that, these women really appreciate it, okay? If you talk to the women from these societies in Asia, in Latin America, there's great men there too. Okay, I know a lot of great men there. But at large, if you ask them, they tend to think that their men are too machismo, too disrespectful, okay? They think that those men have greater tendencies to certain violent activities, okay? This is what generally is surveyed and generally what I have talked to and experienced. Okay, this is generally the feedback I get. And how they view Western men in these places, okay, the general sort of sentiment from these women is that these Western men are much nicer and more respectful towards women. So you already have that sort of good impression right off the bat before meeting these women that you're going to treat them better, okay? That tends to be the situation there. Number 2, okay, is going to be ability to provide. Okay, because if you're following what I preach on this channel and you're earning money in US dollars and then using that abroad, even if your salary is not that large, even if you're making $2,000 a month in places like Latin America, for example, or even in South Korea, that can be a decent, somewhat income. Philippines, that's a good income, okay? Because you're making that amount and you're making it consistently, they see that as a man who can provide, okay? These economies in these other places are good. They're rough. People are losing their jobs all the time, okay? Inflation is out of control in these places. Job stability is basically not a thing except for the people in the highest class. So because of that, they see your ability to provide. They associate that with Western men. This is just a reality. And so coming in, you have that sort of impression. They have that impression that you'll have the ability to provide. So for one, they see is that you tend to treat the women better. You have the ability to provide. And number 3, if you're able to show show you are faithful. Okay, if you're able to show that you're faithful in a relationship situation, okay, cheating is rampant in places like South Korea and Latin America, okay? It's bad in the US, it's worse there, okay? So if you show that you're able to tell the truth and be faithful and that you're willing to take a relation seriously and be committed, okay, that's going to go a really, really long ways to helping your impressions there and helping, date or be with the women in those regions as well. I'm going to tack on this bonus one here is that if you're able to also show that you take your faith seriously, okay, all these things are going to connect and come together, and these women are going to be able to get the impression that you have the full package. You take your faith seriously, just like they do. You show that you're faithful to them in the relationship, okay, which not a lot of men are able to do, okay? You have the ability to provide resources for them and provide for their family and potentially help them and have savings in the bank account. And you tend to treat them better in a sense of you're not going to raise your hand to them and things like that, okay? So with all those four things, plus the bonus of having a larger dating pool, just to begin with, the advantages are really quite big for the Christian man in the West for dating abroad. And this is how the math turns out. So if you feel like I'm like this true faithful Christian man and I feel like I'm a minority in my own country and that's not what women want, do I need to change? Do I need to adjust? Am I too masculine? Okay, it seems like these secular guys, it's much easier for them to date and find women, which is true based on just the pool available to them. Well, your feelings are correct because that's how statistically it bears it out. But if you go to almost anywhere else, okay, outside of the West in the world, you'll find that all these things are completely flipped. They're inverted. It's like you've entered a different universe. It's like you were in one universe and then you went into the upside down. Everything is completely reversed. It's like that Seinfeld episode, okay, with Bizarro, Jerry, and Superman, okay? It's just like that, except for you in dating, and now you have the options to choose, and now the options feel plentiful instead of really, really scarce, which puts you in a plentiful, bountiful mindset, which allows you to be masculine and really find the faithful woman that you're looking for, that you're compatible with and build your life with. So that's how that works out there. Let me know what your dating experience as a Christian man has been in the West, okay? And did what I just show you on the whiteboard in the last 10 minutes make sense? Does this play out? I'd like to hear your thoughts in a comment. I also have a free training. If you're trying to take an exploratory trip or try the whole living abroad thing, but you don't know how to do it, you don't know where to go, what do I do for remote income? I've got a free training in the description down below. It's 6 videos. I thought I was going to sell this, but I think guys need this help. I want to give it away for free. So check that out in the description down below. It's what I would have wanted a couple years ago when I started looking into all this, and it gives you all that information. So thank you so much for watching this video. And anyways, I'll see you guys next time.